Just a quick recap of whatever you want to call yesterday. After watching the film, you go into a game right now, we're going in thinking that we had to do two things better. We had to be better defensively. We had to, in other words, be a tougher team, and we thought we had to be a more solid team. And so we look at it, there's three phases of basketball. You got to play good, you got to play tough, and you got to play smart. I thought two of the three that we haven't been doing as well, we did a better job of. We weren't as smart, I don't know, the fouls, I guess you got to say we're not as smart. And a couple plays at the end, we didn't execute like we needed to execute. You go into a game like that, you tell your players all the time that you're everybody's homecoming. Nigel Hayes shooting 25% from the three in the league and goes 2 of 3 from NBA range. Koenig shooting 38%. He goes 4 of 8 from NBA range, and 3 of them, including the last one, with a hand in his face. Their center shooting 50% from the free throw line in the league and makes 9 of 12. And we still scored 76 points, which should be enough to win. It wasn't the defense as much as overcoming the issues at the free throw line for them. But as dumb as it sounds, they've played everybody pretty tough. Maryland made a 3 to win it. We missed a 3 to lose it. And they've played Purdue, Indiana to 1 and 3 point games. Northwestern, I think, to a 5-point game. So disappointed in how we played, but I think one thing out of all the meetings I've had with my players last night and today, and we've struggled to overcome the number of injuries with guys coming and going. It's been a problem, as Denzel said. He comes back in, and all of a sudden we're getting the ball inside more. And so, if you ask me, he's been kind of tentative. We find out the day before that Tom's not going to be playing for a while, and he was playing 25 minutes a game. I thought Matt did a decent job at the point, especially defensively. It just threw a monkey wrench into Zell. We have the one turnover where he's supposed to be the point guard and doesn't know, and Gavin steps out of bounds. So we've had some issues as with Schilling and Marv and Denzel as far as getting them out, getting them back. Now him. And there's been no continuity with our guys, in fairness to them. On a positive side, we're second in the country in wins, 16 wins. I think we've got more top 100 wins as of the other day. We were 9 top 100 wins. That's more than anybody in the country. I think we had 10 or 11 top 10 stats as of the other day, which is unbelievable. Our field goal percentage defense is still in the top 5 or 6. Our rebounding is still there. Our assists are still there. Our 3-point field goal percentage defense is still there. We've had 2 or 3 games with a full roster, and that's an excuse, but it was almost better at the beginning where we knew those guys were out for 6 and 8 weeks, and we've been trying to bring guys back and forth, and it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for them. It's been a struggle for me. And I think it's been some of our issues. There's been no other problems. We just need to get back to doing the little things, doing their job. When you have people out, people are trying to do everybody else's job. We got to get back to everybody doing their job. And, look back at the Kansas or the Louisville game, and we had every guy kind of did their job. All of a sudden we want guys trying to do somebody else's job. And that's a problem. It's an important week for us. There's no question about it. Backs are a little bit against the wall, but we are 16-3, and I got to keep that in perspective with all we've been through. We're going to try to get on track Wednesday night. Nebraska started out 0-3 and now have won 3 in a row. They've got a very, very good tandem, Shields and White, the transfer from Kansas. He's averaging 18, and Shields has been a problem since he was a freshman. 2 6'7" guys that can do a lot of things. Kind of a dynamic duo, versatile, play the 3, the 4, the 2. They can kind of play all over. It's not a real big team, but they are getting a lot of good guard play. Webster's been there well. Watson's, Benny Parker's been there for a while. And this team is playing better. They're, I think, well coached. And after I said a little bit of a rough start in the league, they've played pretty good. So I'll take whatever questions you got.
So, Tom, are you discouraged today, or is your glass still half full, thinking that this team?
My glass all full. I'm upset. Watch my language here. I still think all the things that happened. I mean, this team played their butt off yesterday. They really did. I mean, they made shots that they haven't made. And I'm not. I think we're all a little frustrated on some of the things that went on yesterday. But in all that being said and done, we still could have won the game at the end and didn't do it. I mean, we're down 74-70. We got a free throw with one of our best players. He misses it. Our freshman bumps a guy. And with no time left on the clock, the lead that could have been 5 goes to 2. With 2 minutes left to go in the game. And then we still bounced back, made some plays, made some good plays. Kooning hit a big 3, up 76-72 with Denzel right in his face. Give him credit, he made it. And then we botched up the last play, and that falls on my shoulders. We just have to be more precise on what exactly we wanted to do, and I'll have to do a better job of that. So we still could have won it. Am I disappointed? Sure, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed, but if there's any frustration, the frustration is trying to figure out who to play when. And it's not because of all these guys. It's because of guys moving in and out. Just when we get one back, all of a sudden now Tom's out. And as I say, the guy does a lot for us that none of you would probably appreciate. And I don't mean that negatively. He's one of those guys that the players appreciate. And so that was a big loss for us. We think we could have ran them. Unlike other Wisconsin teams, they go to the boards a little bit more, which means they're more susceptible to break. We got a couple right down the middle. We got a couple in the corners. But it's no question we're not as good running without Tom. So that's the only part that's frustrating. I know we got a real good team. I think it could be a great team. I still think it could be a great team. But we have to, I think the couple of key guys are get Bryn back shooting the ball, and we got to get Schilling to play his role and do what he's supposed to do. Blunt about it.
Tom, you say upset, disappointed is how you feel. What was in meetings last night and today with those guys, what is the sense you have of how they're reacting to it, and how would you want them?
Well, I think they're frustrated. I think, hard to play in a game where every time you move there was a call. Whether it was right or wrong, it doesn't have any bearing on it. I mean, 36, 38 free throws in a game like that that's hard. It's hard. It's frustrating for them. It's hard for them. But I think the hardest thing is they never know who they're on the court with. And that's not my fault. It's not their fault. It's just the way it's gone this year. And we think we can move in because we move one guy in and we got another guy, we got depth. They don't play together. You take Tom out of the game and the whole break's different. Now you put Zell at the point, and he's coming from a different spot and a different angle. And so in a lot of ways, we scored enough points to win. We played enough defense to win. You get almost 30 points from the free throw line, so we fouled too much. And today, I think I'm just going to tie the guys' hands to their bodies and let them walk around like mummies and see if we can guard somebody that way.
Tom, when you look at Bryn, when Zell was first out, when he was playing well, even his defense improved? Not saying it was great.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But when he misses a shot, his entire game seems to turn off. Almost gets timid.
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation to fix it with your experience?
Well, it hurt. Everybody thinks it helped Zell when Bryn was out. I don't mean helped him, but I mean he scored more points. But Zell and Bryn have a thing from fifth grade, and they can find each other. Mostly Zell finding Bryn, and he gets some more shots. Well, then when he wasn't there to do that, and then Tom's not there to, Bryn does live on his offense, as most scorers do. And but I asked Bryn to do something yesterday. In fact, he dove on the floor one time, and some guy dove right on top of him for a jump ball. And so he dove on another one that we got, and we got a three-pointer out of it. We did some things better than we've done. Wisconsin's a good team. It was a hell of a setting, as most of you were there. I don't think this team appreciates the fact that they don't understand that everybody's going to play their best. Some of those shooting things yesterday, that center is shooting 50% in the league. And he's making free throw after free throw. Everybody raises their game a notch, and we've got some work to do in that area. But our players, I think, understand that we got to play smarter. I got to coach it better. It really comes down to that. If we're putting our hands on guys 40 feet from the basket, and that's what they call, then I got to do a better job. So I think it falls on me, not on the officials, not on the players. It's just been an adjustment, and I think what's happened is certain teams, and Wisconsin's one of them, they were driving to get fouled rather than driving to score because they don't have a lot of shooters, and we did not adjust to that, and that's my fault as much as anybody. So I'm going to try to do a better job of that.
Tom, with Matt McQuaid coming into Tum Tum's role now, how much, with his foul issues, how much of that is, like you mentioned, smart play, or is it over anxiety trying to make a play, maybe being too eager? What's that balance like?
Did you watch it? What'd you think? Geez, I didn't think he was being over aggressive. I think he was just, in fact, I thought he did a hell of a job. I really did. I thought he kept this guy in front of him. He cut him off. We're going to work. We're going to operate on him today. We're going to get rid of his fingernails, because when you put it on somebody, right now it's a foul. So we're going to get the fingernails cut off. But I don't have any other problem. I didn't think he was over aggressive. I didn't think he was under aggressive. In fact, I thought he played as solid as you could play. He got in some foul trouble. Anybody wants to watch him, they were what they were. But I don't think it was over aggressive. I don't think it was reaching. I don't think it was trying to do more than he can do. I thought he did a hell of a job. I think Denzel is playing a little timid right now. I don't think he's being aggressive enough. I think at the end he should have taken it to the hole maybe, but he had a good point. He goes out, all of a sudden we have to go inside more. So now we get to be better inside, and he comes back and he wants to fit into that. And I said, there's nothing wrong the way we played against Kansas and Louisville and Providence and Boise and all those, Florida and all those teams, But that's just the adjustment we're going to have to make. But I had no problem with the way Matt McQuaid defended. We thought we made big progress with Aaron Harris. Now, in Aaron's case, he's always going for a steal. And so when he does that, he's not disciplined on that. And there was a couple of touches, so.
Along those lines, because you're saying, you're satisfied with how he's played, and maybe it hasn't changed since the beginning of the season, maybe the calls have changed. How do you talk to him about that maybe it's not, we've got 4 fouls, maybe they're not all on him?
Well, like I said, today, we're going to tie towels behind our back and above our heads, and I'm not making fun of it. I haven't done a good job. I have not adjusted to the rules. It's not the players, it's me. And, that's the way it's got to be. It's different. And it's been widely publicized. It's been widely accepted. Maybe I'm the only guy that's not accepting it. So I'm going to have to do a better job. Don't put any of that on the players. You put that all on me.
Tom, last time the team lost 2 in a row was late last season with that second loss coming to Wisconsin, and that really kind of galvanized the guys. They only lost 2 more times the rest of the year. So for the guys who were around last year and for you, do you kind of see maybe yesterday as a rallying point for really the second half of the year, or since it's mid-season, it's a little bit different?
Well, I thought we played a lot better yesterday than we played last year in that loss, to be honest with you. A lot better. We played a lot better than we did against Iowa both times. We lost 3 games. It's a little different than last year. It's so hard to sit there and try to figure out who's your defensive stopper. And, well, he's not out there. Or who's this? We've just had a slew of, I said this early in the year, and I really believe it. The advantage to having Marv and Gavin out is they were out. We knew they were out for an extended period of time. We make sure. Then we get, Kenny's broken nose, and it slows us for a week or 2. Then you get Denzel's thing. It's not going to be that long, but it could be a week and a half. Then it ended up 2.5, and you don't want to change things. And so it's just been a little hard with the continuity of our team right now, and I think that has a lot to do with feeling comfortable on the court. And if you don't feel comfortable, it's harder. And even the coach, it's harder when you don't know who your stopper is and who is your, what are you going to do? Are you going to rely on your fast break? And all of a sudden you change that almost 180. Those are things that we're having to deal with now that are a little different than anything else. Add to that, kind of ironically, I think we're a little softer team that made some progress here yesterday, but we're a softer team and the rules have changed, so that should be an advantage for us, and that's been a disadvantage. So you give up that many free throws to a team like that, you're not going to win many games like that in a row. Our field goal percentage was, 47, 48? Our three-point percentage was in the 40s. Our free throw percentage was 75. We out-rebounded them by 10. We turned the ball over the second fewest times of the year. You should win that game by 10. And you give up 100, 150 free throws, and you don't win it. And like I said, I can complain about it, or I can, I'm not blaming the player for it, though. There were a couple of what I would have called question marks, but I'm just going to have to do a better job of making sure we don't foul. It's going to fall on me, not on them. I had no problem, other than a couple of reaches, what most of it was going. I really didn't. So I feel like Mark D'Antonio a couple of years ago at Notre Dame. I'm not going to change everything. I'm just going to try to make the best adjustments I can make, and hopefully there's no calls like that.
Sticking with that, Tom, I think you may have already kind of referenced this play, but there was one play I wanted to ask you in particular with McQuaid and Koenig. He took the baseline away from him, kind of did everything, had him out front, and there was, he put his hand out and was called. And I wondered what you thought of that particular play, and is it supposed to be an advantage gained by the defense to be called for a foul out there?
Just give me a second. I'm trying to figure out how to answer it. I'd like to run over and kiss you, because that was the exact play that kind of typifies how it's changed. You're right. I thought there was more contact on the baseline, and that was going towards the basket. And the one up top was an east and west, 25 feet away. I can't even complain about it anymore. They're so adamant about it. So if that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way we got to play. It seems like it is an adjustment for us. and maybe I've been too stubborn to adjust. We talk about it. I think I could coach 100 years and I wouldn't tell a guy to play that play any different. And but every time it was 2 points. It was 2 points, and it was difficult.
Is that your understanding, though?
Yeah, my understanding is if you do anything with two things, if you put two knees on them, if you put two hands on them, if you put two eyes on them, anything with twos, I guess, is an automatic. And that's what it is. Yeah, that's I guess I didn't think it was that way, but I'm figuring it out. So that's what it is.
Tom, just because when you spoke about it when Denzel was out, sitting on the bench, kind of getting to watch the game in that situation, does Tom get those same, stand to benefit in the same sort of ways because of what his role with the team is with the time that
Yeah, it's hard for me to feel good about anybody benefiting from sitting anymore. I've had enough guys sitting this year. But Tom gave us everything and more that human being could give. And it's too bad. It's a weird injury. You talk about weird injuries. There has been a slew of them. I mean, if you look at Gavin's toe, I've been around a lot of time. I've never seen anything, guy pushing off and running down the court and tearing ligaments in his big toe. It's been a little bit bizarre, but the adversity might help us. Let's look at it from the bright spot. There is none. Let's look at it from the brightest spot I can come up with. A lot of you, a lot of people were disappointed in the first half of the year that I wasn't golfing. We were 13-0. This isn't the way Michigan State is supposed to be. You're off to too good of a start. So maybe the basketball gods are just bringing us back to earth and getting us ready for this run now that we're very capable of having and very, in my mind, very, very capable of doing. What does a run mean? It means you got to get a couple wins under your belt. And that's why this week is an important week, and Nebraska is an important game. I mean, they are a good basketball team. But as you've learned in watching Clemson and watching all these teams around the country, everybody can be beat. And you got to play good. You got to play hard. And you got to play smart. And we're moving forward, I didn't think we were playing as good or as hard there in the last couple weeks. And now I think we're playing better. I think we're playing harder, tougher. And last night, between the fouls and the situation at the end, we didn't play smart enough. And although, even in Didi's foul underneath on a free throw, we told him don't foul. And he did step into the lane. Those are big calls those are big plays when the clock doesn't start and you got a chance to be up 5 and instead you're up 2. When you're on the road, those are sometimes plays. So that will be a learning experience. Maybe, again, the only person that should take the blame, maybe I should have taken him off the line. So they're being more aggressive. They're trying to play harder. Players are doing their job. I got to do a little better job myself. And I will.
Tom, in college football, there are coaches who will actually, when they get the list of who the officials are going to be, they scout the officials. And I'm just curious, this is me saying this, not you, but there were calls in that game both times that you would be called on one end, not called on the other. Is the day coming where you're now going to have to scout officials and coach differently like some?
Well, no, it's not. It's really not, because in basketball there's so many more games and there's so many more combinations. In football there is a crew. In basketball there's not. And I think that's what's hard for them, in my opinion. And you know what? I think you hit on something that's most important to me. I can adjust to anything, just about. but there's got to be some consistency within your team, and there's got to be some consistency. And the game can't be called one way inside, one way outside, because some teams are more perimeter, and some teams are more inside. And so if it's called differently, I mean, if a touch is a touch, it's a touch everywhere on the court. So I don't think I'll ever, I mean, I thought the officials we had were great. I thought they were all big-time guys. I don't want to get into this officiating thing. You guys write about it, then the national people call me. So I don't really want to get into it. We lost the game because I have not done a good enough job adjusting to these rules. And I am a little confused like Joe. I'm not sure. I'm going to figure out and find out, is the East and West, is the this and that, is the advantage, is the I just got to do a better job of that. But it's ironic you brought up that one, because for me that was the one call that it just seemed to have no advantage, disadvantage, no nothing. I think he was pulling out to start another play. And when you lose, those things frustrate you. If you win, they don't as much. Although I remember talking to you guys a lot in the first half of the year, and we won every game. So at least somebody in this world's consistent. I'm a consistent complainer, I guess. But I think I have been pretty consistent on that, to be honest.
Trying to separate the frustration. Will you really have your players with towels behind their backs today at practice? I'm serious.
400%.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So how
Above, too.
So how does a coach who preaches toughness, who's built his program on toughness, how tough is it to adjust the way the game is?
You know what? Coaches got to adjust the way players are. They got to adjust to the different, every 5 years there's a whole nother player out there. You got to adjust to that. You got to adjust to all the things. We got to adjust to the social media. We got to adjust to that. We got to adjust to, I think I got to do a better job of knowing what I got to adjust to. The social media, I have no problem. I just hate it all. I adjust to it. I don't like it. There's degrees of, and I've got to get a better handle on whether something like Joe says, is that going to be the way it is? But if it is, I just hope it's consistent. That's all I hope for, is it's consistent. And if they think that was consistent, I'm cool with it.
Tom, distribution-wise, Matt has shown the ability. He's dropped some nice passes. What have you seen from him since he got here till now, as far as just his ability?
Matt's had a funny Matt McQuaid we're talking about. Matt Costello had a big game too, and I don't want to oversee that. And it seems like I told him today, even as big a game as he had, we must have missed 4 or 5 layup bunnies, that you can't do either. But you get 18 points, 13 rebounds. It's a heck of a job for Costello. Matt McQuaid went from hitting all the big shots in the big games on the big stages, and he's kind of had the Brook Trout look a little bit. A little bit better the last 2 games. I think the more, he's forced into playing time now. As I said, where I would have gone into the game figuring that was a problem, I came out of the game, that wasn't a problem. He ran the thing good. He hit a couple guys down the middle. Did a pretty good job. I thought he did a pretty good job defensively. Got in a little bit of foul trouble, and that's always hard to play when you're in foul trouble, especially when you're young and you're in foul trouble. On the other side, Dede did a decent job not getting in foul trouble. I don't know how I feel about how we guarded Hayes. I think we made him do some things, but again, when you get 10 points on the free throw line, I guess we didn't do a good enough job. But he hit some bomb threes, too, for a guy shooting 25%. Give them credit. It was their day. They did a hell of a job. And I thought, defended well, but defended fouling too much. That was kind of the difference in the game.
You kind of touched on it with Tim Miles a little bit, but I guess kind of where's the state of Big Ten coaching right now? It seems like it's as deep as it's been with them coming in, and kind of what your impressions of your first matchup with Greg were at Wisconsin.
I think Greg did a great job. I think he's trying to do some of the things that Bo did do and got away from a little bit when they had the better players. They went back to running more swing. They went back to pounding the ball inside. They're going back to they're trying to get fouled, trying to have more fouls. That wasn't like that when you had better players. You were relying on other things, and I think he's doing what he has to do. And it wasn't our game. I mean, he gave Purdue everything they wanted. He gave Maryland everything they wanted, and Indiana everything they wanted. So I think he's doing a good job. I think he's going to be a good coach there. I think Tim Miles has done a great job. I think we got some good young coaches in the league. We got some guys that are, I think Tim has done a good job. I've liked him since the day he got there. He really does. He does a good job coaching. He's a good guy in the Big Ten as far as guy at the meetings and everything. I think he has a very good understanding of everything. And Franny comes in there, has done a great job. So there's been a lot of good additions to the league, and the league is bigger. I mean, it's a lot bigger than it was when I started. Anything else? All right, guys, hang in there with me.